The last 2 weeks or so, our youth have embarked on demonstrations, which for the length of time has been generally peaceful, tag and SARS, by which they have been expressing their grievances against police brutality and demanding for changes and reforms in the system. In response, the federal government has apologized and has promised to look into the matter and take action. The state governors have not been left out. They have responded promptly by acknowledging the genuine grievances of the youth, and the Inspector General of Police has also been quite decisive. All these steps show that some level of goodwill and the acknowledgement that the grievances of the youth are being taken seriously. However, and notwithstanding these gestures, the demonstrations continued, consequences of which it began to cause serious discomfort to citizens and the country. In the process, it gave opportunities for criminal elements to penetrate an otherwise peaceful movement. The hijacking of the protests by criminals have resulted into violence, destruction of government and private properties, criminal release of prisoners, and the lynching and burning of policemen and some innocent persons. These developments is causing serious concern to all of us, and if care is not taken, it might lead the country to a point of no return. For this reason, I'm appealing and calling for a halt to give peace a chance for dialogue. I'm appealing to our youth who have strongly and clearly made their points to withdraw from the streets and prepare for dialogue. I am equally appealing to Mr. President to continue addressing the grievances expressed by the youth and lay out the program that meets and addresses the objective of the protest.
Former head of state Abdulsalami Abubakar with his advice to the country and the president moving forward. But yes, the president did eventually address the country yesterday, as everyone saw. But today we're joined by two gentlemen to kickstart today. Tunde Bankantini, a member of the APC and also a member of Isaleko Descendants Union of Lagos. He joins us via Zoom. Then we also have Oladimeji Fabiyi, who is a member of the PDP and also has been several members, been member of several committees for the party's processes of selecting different candidates in different states. Good morning and thank you for joining us as well today. Well, lots of people wanted the president to speak, and now he has spoken. Mr. Fabiyi, let me start with you. From your perspective and the content of the president's speech, saying, listen, above all else, I have heard the voices of the youths. What kind of impression do you get from that? But having said that, isn't it time for everyone to then say, look, okay, he has said he has heard us. It leaves them with no choice than to say, all right, well said or not.
Well, thank you very much, and good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, Chamberlain. First and foremost, I'd like to say that that speech is coming a little too late, but it's never bad. We've expected that this would have come earlier than now, but unfortunately it didn't come as when Nigerians expected, when perhaps the speech would have assuaged the pain of Nigerians, it would have appeased, the frustrations of the youth. I didn't see anything very serious in that speech. It was grossly deficient in what I call color of empathy. It was grossly deficient in what I call sympathy and compassion. And one would have expected that Mr. President would do more, would do better. You can see the reaction You can see the fallout, after the statement yesterday. It lacks that candor that can appease the pains of Nigerians, the pains of the youth, and the agitations of our people. Isn't it disturbing that there was no mention of the gruesome killing, murder, massacre of our ever-vibrant, ever-conscious, Nigerian youths that were killed in Lekki, at Lekki in Lagos. That unfortunate incident will continue to live in our memories for a very, very long time. And then again, I was taken aback because the speech did not even mention the state of anarchy that is prevailing in the country at this moment. These are serious issues that one would have expected Mr. President will adequately address yesterday in that speech. It's also very, to me as a president, as a Nigerian, very insulting for Mr. President to be calling our digital age youth, so-called protesters, and rather it was promising them all these what I call analog and archaic economic measures, and that is not what we expected from Mr. President. We've heard about almost of these programs in the past, and they are still subject, to what people think about them. What have they achieved about this program? These are programs, all the programs the President was touting yesterday, were things that ordinarily Nigerians are aware about. And then people are even questioning the successes of this program.
We'll come to that. We'll come to some of those issues you mentioned, but I just need to get the opening. But let me equally get that of Mr. Tunde Bankantini. Well, you have heard him. He says that, well, certain things were left out which ought to have been there, even though he did say, I've heard your cry. Do you share the same view?
Well, good morning, Lagos. Right. First of all, I want to say something clearly. This is not about party politics. What the president has said yesterday, do you expect the president to come out immediately without getting briefed? Along the line, the youth clearly, he said it clearly, we will listen to you, we will take up your demands. And when he came out, the first thing he said yesterday was that I spoke to my service chiefs, to my security team. That was the first thing he said. And he said clearly, we will hear you loud and clear. And for God's sake, these are our children. I don't see why we should always play politics with everything. What should be the foremost in our mind is to be very soothing and to be very sincere with our kids. They've done so well. I want to say to the youth, we are proud of you. Africa is proud of you. You've shown the world what you are made of. A peaceful protest, a very peaceful protest, non-violent. You carried on for 2 weeks until the government got it wrong. When I'm talking government here, I'm not blaming it on party politics. So I want my friend in Abuja to stop playing party politics with it. The president came out and spoke President of Federal Republic of Nigeria, not APC president, not PDP president. That is my opening statement for now.
All right. So, Mr. Fabiyi, now that statement, the speech by the president, well, yes, you have said that it should have come earlier. Of course, a lot of people were thinking he should have spoken earlier, but then being in that position, if you look at the content of the speech, where he did say, look, we accepted the demands, we're continuing work on the demands, but we also did see how the protest started and how it degenerated as a result of certain elements that infiltrated. No one will be happy with that kind of scenario. So, but even he identified that, look, there were certain persons who hijacked it. So if he made reference to those people when he says so-called, in that context, wasn't he right?
Well, Chamberlain, thank you very much. Let me first clear the impression of my brother in Lagos. This is not about politics. As you can see, my party has never done anything in regards to, they're just appealing to the youth to sheath their swords and come to the negotiation table. So that is that. Let me, the speech of Mr. President, I tell you, and I still maintain that it's not inspiring at all. And I still maintain that as a Nigerian and not as even a member of the party, as my brother is trying to make it look like. And we know what these people do. We saw that I mean, as the protest was going on, there were a lot of attempts to give it a coloration or ethnic coloration, to give it a political coloration. And I thank God for leadership from my party that they didn't even involve in this. Rather, they were rather appealing to the youth to do the needful. That their protest, like everybody has agreed, is genuine. And now, no world leader, let me tell you, and no responsible leader that is alive to his responsibility will run the issue on this protest the way the government have run it. And I say this, no parents will talk like that. No parents will do that. And let me just quickly make this known. In fact, Senator Shehu Sani clearly, captured the essence in one of his tweets yesterday. And he said, you people are asking for speech, and you got the speech. Now you are speechless. He captured the essence of that speech yesterday. Nigerians were expecting something more, something bigger, something that can actually assuage the pains of Nigerian youth and the entire Nigerians. You can see opinion leaders, stakeholders coming out to say, Mr. President, talk. You can see that speech was a forced presidential speech that was bereaved of affection, that was bereaved of compassion, that was bereaved of hope and inspiration. No confidence. Because Nigerian youth have already lost confidence in the leadership of this country as we speak. These are the things that are happening, and we should face that. This is about Nigeria. This is not about PDP. This is not about APC. One of the people they killed in Lagos was very known to me, and I feel so bad about it. All those families of the people, they are still there mourning of those that were killed, gruesomely murdered, were there still mourning. What has government done about it? What has the federal government done about it? If the government had lived up to federal government had lived up to its expectation, we would have gotten to this place. We would have gotten to this point. Those Minister, that you said,
just a minute.
Mr. President may be calling so-called protesters. Perhaps to him they are.
Okay,
but we know that the original agitators, the original protesters.
The thing about this is this,
they're not the ones analyzing things.
Just hang on. Let me just bring this in. Now, yes, a lot of people look to the president. Naturally, he's the president, the leader of the country. But talk about the subnationals, the governors. Look at the states that declared curfew. Now, when curfew was declared in those states, naturally, you expect that, okay, they've got this. They have it all covered. So there will be no more violence. Things will turn out peacefully. So when well-meaning people, of course, as trying to obey the curfew, went back home, you saw what happened in those other states. So shouldn't the state governors also take the flak for this one? Why did you declare curfew, yet violence broke out?
State governments equally have responsibilities. And let me tell you something that is very fundamental. Nigerians have lost trust. They've lost confidence in their leaders at federal, both at the state. Okay, look at most of the states that have declared, that has imposed curfew, like you said. Look at your state, for instance. How did Governor Seyi Makinde do it? How did he do it? That we don't have all of these things that are happening in Lagos that are happening in every other place. How did they do it? So what I'm saying is that when people have lost trust in your leadership, when they've lost confidence in this is what you get. Again, when you are not awake to your responsibilities, when you are supposed to nip the crisis in the bud, you didn't do that, this is what you get. That is my point. So we don't enjoy this false presidential speech that all the rest of the world has to be calling before Mr. President can make statements that would douse the tension. So for me, it is my hope that after making this speech, the youth of Nigeria, the Nigerians in general, would be able to have the mind to queue behind this. We need peace in this country. We need unity in this country. This is not about South, this is not about North, this is not about region, this is not about party politics. This is about Nigeria as it concerns all of us. I can't fly out of Abuja. I'm supposed to be in Lagos. I can't fly. It has affected my economy. What I'm saying is this thing has ripple effect. It has a lot of effect on what we do on daily basis in this country. So our government must be able to rise up and wake up to their responsibilities. When they do this, there'll be peace. Let's bring in
Mr. Bankantoni. So, Mr. Bankantoni, well, talk about subnationals now, because there are huge questions about all of this. Is it that they had their hands tied? How do you think that states got it wrong?
Well, from Lagos, where the real protest started, peaceful, well coordinated, well organized. And when they started, the governor of Lagos State addressed them. President spoke about them. Everyone commended them. I will still do. And to refer to my brother Fabiyi in Abuja, the president never used the word so-called protesters with regarding to our kids. Let's get something clear. Our eyes are wide open. We are not stupid people. We knew who started this protest. There is no way you could ever compare those protesters to the hoodlums that came in later. I will tell you without a doubt, one thing to start with, I feel so bad, I feel pained, I feel terrible what happened on Tuesday night. The government have their own faults, they have their own shortcomings. I would say that it's got nothing to do with party politics. The government have their own faults. And another terrible thing is that may the soul of those who died, may their soul rest in peace. And may their parents and loved ones be consoled. Because it's sad, it's very, very painful what happened on Tuesday night. Of course, government have their faults. Look at what happened in Oba of Lagos Palace, the king of Lagos. It is terrible. And I'm still upset that the government of Lagos State has come out to address, to give interviews 3 times. He has not made reference to that. That was a sacrilege. That was an abomination. No matter what you take from there, are we going to? And the president even mentioned that in his own speech. Our governor never did. And another point is that I'm not saying here on APC or PDP. So I'm not, Mr. Fabiyi, it is not something to play party politics with. The government of Lagos State represents everyone in Lagos State. And the governor started well. He tried. He did all he could do. But somewhere along the line, something went wrong. Because that Tuesday night, it is terrible. That was the day the governor called the curfew at noon for 4 p.m. Later, by 6 or 7 o'clock, we heard there's a change of time. I could tell you, I was rushing home to get away before 4 o'clock. I had an accident just to obey my governor's order. Later, we heard the curfew time has been changed. Along this process, right, soldiers were already shooting at our children at the toll gate. That was barbaric. The governor has security meeting every fortnight in the state. That is official. The GOC are there. All the military or personnel sit with the governor fortnight on the security matters and issue in Lagos State. So the governor telling us that he was told they were shooting, right? They should have waited. They came down the road. Where is the road from their barracks? The closest barracks to toll gate should be Bonny Camp. I don't know if any other barracks along Lekki Ekpe, unless you get to Ekpe. Lives have been lost. Lagos State has 7 squadron of mobile policemen. Where were they? Where were they? People telling me army should use rubber bullets. Where does army use rubber bullets? Where in any republic, democratic republic, you call the soldiers out? The soldiers are not talking. The president has not made reference to it. This is a security matter. What they tell the government chief security officer, we play it down. Of course, we play it down.
Yeah, but let me equally add this, Mr. Bankantini, before I move on to Mr. Fabiyi. With the army, you heard their comments yesterday about some of those materials being photoshopped. Look, I know people, yes, they heard it. Some didn't believe their ears, but they're also fundamental questions. So, but for those who thought that, wait a minute, in that president's speech, shouldn't he have made reference to the Lekki shooting, even if you don't fully subscribe to it, or even if we don't know the information the president has? Shouldn't he, one way or the other, have made direct reference to what happened in Lekki?
I'm not holding brief for the president, but I'm glad you made reference to what that general said that could be Photoshop, right? The president was not in Lagos when this incident happened, right? Those who are in Lagos are giving very conflicting reports. And and the president even waiting 48 hours or thereabout to give a speech. Because a lot of people talking. So, what is the report on Mr. President's table? Some people even claiming they might be fake police. Even our own national you said they might be fake armies. In the interview with the channel's guy on the telephone, you understand me? And the army has said it could be Photoshop. But the governor, can he tell Lagosian, did he get in touch with the Nigerian army or not? He sits every fortnight. This was a security issue. Was there a time? Because this is a democracy. We are accountable to our people. It is very clear. It is very, very clear. Everything, the coincidence was just too much. The night before, he didn't call the curfew, the light didn't go out. The soldiers didn't come out. There was no shooting. Now, the people you call are now, like you said, the powers beyond them. Why do you get them involved? In any democracy, Lagos is the melting pot. Let's set an example. All right. I heard is...
Okay, let me bring in Mr. Fabiyi. Look, yes, there are still unanswered questions. Yeah, the president has spoken. But then the thing is, yes, he's the president. He can't react the way everybody else is reacting. He's got access to information everybody else don't have. So he has to find a way to aggregate different views and speak to everyone, as it were, moving forward. But if he didn't, I mean, given that speech, the scenario in Lekki, but there are questions, huge questions are still unanswered about what really went down in Lekki. You've heard the comments that came through from the military. How should people be internalized, or how do you react and internalize those comments that came from the army about what happened in Lekki?
Well, thank you very much. It is quite unfortunate. You see, leadership requires certain fundamentals. It requires you being a responsibility. It requires here to be high intellect. And again, it requires your ability to manage people's affairs as a leader. And sincerely, all these things are lacking in the management of all this. And I'm not surprised, because we've seen in the past how lots of crises, including COVID, were managed by this government. And I don't feel sorry for saying the Nigerians know the truth. Now, Lagos State Governor, as I know, with due respect to him, appeared helpless, appeared confused, because of you can see the early statement he made before now coming back to say some other statement. At some point, even though I don't want to leave on some of the reports of the social media, we were told that Army said it was fake, it was this and that. That is not how it's supposed to be. I remember in America in 2000, when there was this, what is it called, this terrorist attack on 2011. What they did, they went back, they looked at their security architecture and rebranded it and make it work. So I think Nigeria needs to do that. As far as I know, it goes beyond Mr. President saying you protesters should leave the streets. What the question should be, because I know, a lot of Nigerians knows that those who are vandalizing national assets and other assets across the state are not the real protesters. The real protesters are not people vandalizing this. So it would be good for Mr. President to help us get rid of all these hoodlums that are killing people, that are attacking people, that are destroying properties and all that. Get them off the streets. Then we can now see how then we can now have a way to talk to the youth to say, okay, leave the street. The protesters are not the ones doing all this, causing all this vandalism. They are not. So as far as I know, the statement of the army is not encouraging. As far as I know, it does not give me the kind of information I would have wanted them to do. They have their intelligence units, that would have immediately swung into action. And 2-3 days, 72 hours, it took them all that time before they can come out and be giving us all these excuses. As far as I know, as a Nigerian citizen, I don't buy into that. So for me, the government needs to do more. And Mr. President needs to wake up to his responsibility. We have a leader. We have leaders in Nigeria today who abdicate responsibility. When something happens, they quickly pass it to their subordinate or pass it to the under them. And that's exactly what Mr. President has done in this matter. Passing this thing to state, yes, a lot of things are happening in the state. But the federal government should have done better. When these guys came up with their 5 demands, the government should have come up with feasible action, feasible activities that will instill the confidence and bring the confidence and the trust of these guys back. But it never happened. It goes beyond just say we have disbanded SARS. SARS is just a smaller unit of the Nigerian police. And I sympathize with Nigerian police because we have to give it to them. They are not having the best of time. They have their frustrations. It's a public knowledge that they're not being taken care of by successive governments. Their welfare, everything about them is zero. So the government should have taken a proactive action, measures to ensure that all these things and the youth will see all these things and be confident that the government is doing something. But
all right, Mr. Fabiyi,
disbanded, like
we'll come back to this in just a moment. Pardon me. We need to go to break.
No,
but we'll come back and see. Look, what does this then mean to the protesters, to everybody moving forward? Join us again. Welcome back. Different schools of thought on this one, Mr. Bank Anthony. There are those who believe, yes, the president's speech is welcome, or others believe, well, it's a temporary respite, but it's not over, because they thought that he left out some very key things, so much unanswered questions, and then it's to them, they think this is tantamount to postponing the evil day. Do you share, what's your impression of that?
Well, now on the world stage, I saw on CNN last night, I'm on par with our own false guy, and it has shown on it's a bad life. But the point is that the president, nothing will be good enough. We will always ask for more. We are opportunists. There is nothing wrong about that. But I don't want us to start condemning at this point in time the president's speech. Clearly, what my brother said in Abuja, what visible do you want to see now? What exactly can happen now? Is he a magician? He has directed judicial inquiry to be set up. Lagos State, with due respect, has done that with a very fine job. Justice Okwuobi retired, and Adegoluwa on board. And the kids, right? This will not deter them from asking for what they believe is right. Like you said, this is not an analog age anymore. They're organized, they will do what they have to do, and they've made a very bold statement, and they keep on doing that. And one thing I must say very clear here is that going forward, I mean, in Lagos, which is the melting pot, the damage, the colossal damage done in Lagos is sad, it is terrible. And how did this happen? We need to ask ourselves and tell ourselves some own truth. We need to, because at the end of the day, Lagosians will pay for it. Clearly, they will pay for it, right? And
so,
now, where are
so, but Mr. Bankantini, moving forward now, with all of this that played out, I mean, initially we saw that the governors were not all together concerning the decision that was taken about SARS. Now, if some governors then went ahead and declared curfew in their states, and then it came across as though they had their hands tied, that there were superior powers that the reason why governors couldn't do certain things, because if soldiers were on the road, if security of lives and property were not protected, is it time for them to then say, look, in order for us to be able to perform our functions, we need to go back to the center or to the National Assembly, identify the problems that came up now, whether or not it's going to be, look, in form of state police or whatever it is, because it appeared that though some governors were just helpless. How did hoodlums get on the streets and then they had a free reign?
See, Shebali, let me mention Nicholas. It's so sad that I don't know what I would call a curfew. Curfew declared 12 hours. After 12 hours of curfew, Lagos was on fire. We were supposed to be on curfew. I believe the Commissioner of Police failed us in Lagos. He had 7 Mopo squadron in Lagos. We are calling ourselves a republic now. Do we need to run to the soldiers all the time? We have 7 Mopo units in Lagos. And an average of this unit has about 600 men. Where are they? I remember even before this happened, the IG of police said he's mobilizing Mopo police out to every state. Why can't the Commissioner of Police in Lagos State take charge and direct his unit accordingly? How long are we going to go into military and telling them to come to our aid? Because this is what is happening now. You call a curfew in Lagos, same day, Lagos City Hall was bombed, right? MPA was bombed. Upper Palace ransacked. Malls were bought during the day, not at the night. And there's also the curfew. Where are the MOPO units in the state? I want to tell Mr. Governor, the security team has failed you. And I know how well they take your security team. The security force we know in Nigeria is not even accountable, and bulk of it goes to the security agency. What have they done with it? Look at what happened after the killing. 3 hours after the killing, lives were still lost, millions of properties and businesses were set ablaze.
Well, you know, the thing about this now, Mr. Fabiyi, anyway, who knows? Because all of these businesses, business concerns of private citizens that have been affected, well, it won't be a bad idea for the states in question to do something about compensation or something, because at the end of the day, they still will go back to them for taxes and all whatnot. But moving forward, in terms of the fundamental questions, unanswered questions about this one, how do you think the youth will accept this now? Because some will say, does that then mean that youths or people who are genuine can't come out to protest against what they don't like tomorrow without fear of who knows if hoodlums, whether they send them to infiltrate their ranks or not, will get in there and then the same kind of scenario play out? And this may be an excuse that people will bring in time and again to cow people who ordinarily are genuine. According to the law, you can protest peacefully. How do we avoid that?
Well, number one, it's about the ability of the government and the youth on the other side to come to the negotiation table and come up with far-reaching decision. That negotiation is very, very key. And then in the process of negotiations, most especially the government must be very, very sincere in their negotiation. And then they must be ready, you know, to take up responsibilities. Secondly, we have a very skilled system, as you all know, and then until when this skilled system is corrected, I think we'll continue to have this problem. This constitution, as we currently run, will never give us peace, will never give us unity. We have to really look into it, and that's why I dot my cap for the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who kept talking about restructuring, and I'm happy that a number of people in the country are now seeing the need for this restructuring. We have to do it. We have to do it. And I hope Mr. President will listen to all this voice of reasoning and do what is the things that are needful. Beyond that, moving forward, the guys that are causing violence, that are destroying properties, are not the real protesters. And then for the real protesters have put forward their demand. This is the first time our youth in this country are coming up with, you know, with positions, and the government should at least respect them by listening to them and do, you know, take up all these things. Then beyond that, we need justice for all these people that were killed. Is important. As long as the government fails or is unable to get justice for these people, to conduct proper investigation into what happened, why this killing has to happen, who are involved, who did what, and brought to book, this may not abate. The youth are ready to leave the street as long as the government lives up to its responsibility and attend to some. The government may not necessarily, you know, take all the requests of the youth, but those ones that are fundamental, especially those ones that are hanging fruit, we need to see there are physical things that can be done. Roll out your statistics. Let us know what you have done. Who are you interrogating right now? Who have been prosecuted? These are the things that can instill confidence. We need more of statements from leaders and action from government that will aid our nation building. Is important, because the speech of yesterday did not even engender the nation building. So we should forget about that. Mr. President should learn to come up with things that can engender this nation building. His advisors should do well by letting him know the true position of things, because I see this as lacking in what we are going through now as a nation.
We need to anchor at that point. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Dimeji Fabiyi, member of the PDP, as well as Mr. Tunde Bank Anthony, member of Isale Dissenting Union of Lagos, and also member of the APC. We will be back in a moment. Don't go away.